So I'll just give us a countdown real quick, and then intro will be good, bro.
Great. It's exciting.
It's excited. Okay, 3, 2. What's good? Hope all is well with everyone tuned in. This is Agent Talk Podcast. Joshua Grady here with a special guest today. Okay, good friend of mine, someone that just we just grown up on with, man. Like someone that's really doing it big, in all aspects, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationships. So I'm excited for the dialogue that is to be had today. Kellen Williams. Woo! What's up,
Wow.
Doug?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
How you doing,
Be here. I'm great. We're just it's funny you told me the other day. It's just it's so interesting when we have conversations now because in our network of friends, it's really a select few that have kids right now. And just such a blessing that is. I've been surprised at how much I feel aged, but also how much I'm grateful for being a dad. And it's just, man, every day is new, especially when they're this age. It's just like they're just multiplying. They're so active. We were just talking about before the show started. Oh man, it's like this man is beating me up even more. But it's just so much more awesome every time I see him. He's just so active and such a blessing. So that's pretty much what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah. Okay, my man. Fatherhood. Okay, so your son Ezekiel Joaquin.
Correct.
Ezekiel Joaquin. How old is Zeke?
Yeah. So Ezekiel is 6 months. He was born on New Year's Eve. He slid right in there for the tax credits, and he's very considerate.
That's funny.
And he's mixed, so I'm mixed myself with Black, White, and Puerto Rican. And then his mom, Shar, my wife.
Shout out, Shar.
Oh my gosh. Huge shout out. I've never been so grateful for her. Been dealing with our baby boy for day in, day out. She's doing an absolutely amazing job. She's such a blessing to our family. And Ezekiel Joaquin Williams is now 6 months old.
That's what's up. That's solid.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get into that for sure. So, Kellen, just a background, man. For most people that's listening, unless they're one of our friends, like you say, our network of friends, they're probably not necessarily gonna know who you are. Who are you? Who is Kellen Williams? Like what is the background, the story? How did you get to where you are? What do you have off the top for the people?
Okay, I'll give you the short and simple spiel.
Okay, the short spiel.
But for background, I grew up very blessed. My father played in the NFL for 14 years, Cincinnati Bengals. Did an amazing job. He always provided very well for our family financially, of course. But I grew up in a divorced household. So my parents got divorced, I think, when I was 7 years old. And, I just noticed my mom was kind of on her own. I looked at my brothers. But time and time again, we were moving, downsizing. And it's not her fault. It's just she didn't have the knowledge of finances in general. And a good spiritual mentor of mine told me, he said, hey, Kellen, you got me into Charles Schwab. Everyone has the right to be financially literate, but not everyone has the privilege. And I took that to heart. And that's what really got me involved and encouraged in my industry and made it very purposeful. Of course, to glorify God every day, but doing that in the world of finance is very purposeful. And that's kind of my background on how I got here in my industry. But of course, there was Vanderbilt before that. And, playing football, growing up, trying to follow my dad's footsteps. He did a great job of never forcing me in football. I never felt forced, but there was always kind of a, this feeling that someone needed to follow in his footsteps. So I took that and I went to Vanderbilt. I walked on and played for Coach Franklin. And that was such an amazing experience, meeting you. It's funny how we met. And for our listeners out there.
Well, do you want to tell the story now or do you want to wait to come back to it? We'll come back to it.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
We'll come back to it. Yeah, continue. Okay, so yes. Okay.
I walked on to Vanderbilt and, Coach Pryor was favorite coach of all time, my linebacker coach, and earned my scholarship my redshirt junior year. And that was a huge blessing. It just, I felt that I had, at the time, an equalizer with my friends, which was you, Drew, Jimmy, et cetera, that were on scholarship. So I kind of finally felt that I made it. But I know that at the time, I was just trying to stay afloat with my grades. And thankfully, I was able to do pretty well there with football and my grades. But I realized I would jog on the practice field and I would start to feel my head bobble. My brain just like, it would like wiggle around. And I was like, that can't be normal. And I had a concussion after concussion after concussion. And I realized, well, hey, I think this may be more serious than I'm taking into consideration. So I knew that football probably wasn't a long-term deal. And I also knew that my dad had, 20 plus knee operations. It's actually 29. And the long-term damage that he's been dealing with, it just was not fruitful. Now, that's not the case for every athlete, but I knew that I was already experiencing some of that with my own body. And I didn't want that for my long-term health. So I started to look elsewhere after graduation. I took a whole year off where I didn't have to work. Now, we graduated from Vanderbilt, and the elephant in the room is you graduate from Vanderbilt, all right, well, you're in. That wasn't my experience. I dealt with a lot of personal, this is before I came to Christ, a lot of personal issues because I didn't have God in my life. So my self-worth was in my career, which I didn't have, and my health. So I would just work out twice a day. I would do a lot of research on health. And I got really enveloped in that part of my life while I was in the transition. And networking was how I got into Charles Schwab. Finally, after a year, my spiritual mentor at the gym, he got me to Charles Schwab. And that's where I started to build the foundation for finance.
Solid.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack, man. I wanted to go back. You had mentioned a quote initially on how you got into with Schwab. I believe you said that everyone has the something for
Right.
everyone has the right for financial literacy, is what you said, but not
Correct.
everyone has the privilege.
Correct.
Can you expand on that? What does that mean? What everyone has the right to financial? Because that's big. Like that's something for me. Well, one of the reasons why I became an agent is because I realized that a lot of individuals do not have financial literacy that are coming into these thousands of millions of dollars.
Yes.
What does that quote mean to you, and why is that important?
Yeah, it's huge. So both of us graduated with a degree in economics at Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But when we graduated, did we have any idea of what itemized deductions were?
No.
Or that's just a small example with any kind of tax filing. No idea. Or how to prudently invest, right? Absolutely no idea. Or what the impact of compounding returns means, or how to do that in the appropriate vehicle. We just didn't know about that, or how to utilize good debt and work the spread. These are just small terms I'm using that back then we should have known about, but we had no idea. And you talk about athletes. Well, both of us being athletes, we may have seen, I think, what was the video we saw as a team? Well, we saw some small seeds as, well, okay, hey guys, we know that we may come into large sums of money, so we need to be smart about it. But what does it really mean to be smart about it? And they never taught us that. Correct. So you had to be intentional about seeking that knowledge. And so many athletes are taken advantage of, just like widows that come into money, the elderly that come to money,
or the young, vice versa. Yeah.
Or just the young that are high earners. And they don't have the knowledge that when they have this wealth that they're accumulating, how to prudently expand upon that, sustain it, and pass it on to their generations so that it keeps on going on. But instead, they get taken advantage of, it gets lost, it gets destroyed, and it goes into the nether.
One thing that you had mentioned was while you're at Vandy, I want to talk on just that experience, like, or even just painting the picture, like going back. So, grew up playing ball, things of that sort. Obviously, you have two older brothers, Julian and Jaron, correct?
Correct.
Julian Jaron. What was the transition like or what, even while you're at Vanderbilt? Like, walk me through that experience, because something we always talk about is, the transformation that I've made since college, that you've made, Jimmy, Drew, whoever it might be, anyone that has gone through the process. Like earlier today, I was talking with Jordan Matthews. Like, I'm gonna try to get him on the podcast, just kind of talk,
Excellent.
because I haven't interviewed him officially yet on here. But what was college football like for you? What is that experience like? What is the experience like of like, we were top 25? You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing you and I have talked about is the pressure that can come with trying to, perform on the field, whether it's because of dad or the school, the fans, team, whatever it
Yeah.
is. You also kind of talked about how, like, you had concussions, like at least one, I think you would say. And like, I've never had a diagnosed concussion. Like, what is that like? I'm curious. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, like, well, just take me through the college football experience a little bit, because that's just something, like, even with, like, right now with the NIL, and how everything with name, image, and likeness is a very popular term. These are college guys. Like, we've been there.
Yep.
We've been in their shoes 100%. Okay,
Yes.
we didn't have an opportunity to do a partnership with Quiznos that was downstairs. Okay, but they do.
Oh man.
Okay.
Ooh, I
Okay.
should have been sponsored, boy.
I mean, I was giving them all my money, them Wendy's,
Yes.
all the meal money.
Yes.
But
Oh,
yes, a lot of people don't get that experience and don't know what it's like to really be a collegiate athlete, especially as a walk-on coming into then earning a scholarship. I know what that was like. You know what I'm saying? And I remember certain conversations where my mind was opened to how expensive Vanderbilt really was. Okay, because I was, fortunate I didn't know anything. Just like, any takeaways, any stories, anything in college, or I guess even to start, can you tell the story of how we met? Maybe that's a good place to start.
okay.
Yes, and
Okay.
like, what that was like, because I think that
That's
would be
good.
good for the viewers.
That'll set the tone. That was good. So you mentioned I walked on. So that in itself was so intimidating for me.
What is that like? Yes, take me through it.
Because you hear, in high school, there's so much pressure about being recruited, and Division I, like, okay, well, that's gold, that's cream of the crop. And you're seeing on social media all these different athletes getting recruited by these 4-star, 5-star, going to Alabama, SEC, that's even more cream of the crop. So thankfully, my father had so many connections, right? I knew I had a skill set. But at the same time, I was so humble. I didn't know how to promote myself. My football team at the time, you could say, was questionable.
Questionable.
So we didn't have the best publicity with our team. So there weren't a lot of recruiters seeing the talent, right? But I had this opportunity to go visit Vanderbilt, and it was kind of like a gauntlet. It was kind of intimidating. I met all the coaching staff. I met Coach Franklin. I met everyone, and it was just me, pretty much by myself. And they just wanted to interrogate me, not in a mean or adversarial way, but they just wanted to get to know me. And I ended up making the cut. So I got the opportunity to come to Vanderbilt the summer. And I just felt that I had to prove myself. And you remember, I was, I think it was just the July attendees. We ended up working out together. And I just knew I had to give everything I had. And you were probably like, what's wrong with this guy? Why is
he to crush it, bro?
Why is he working so hard?
Yeah.
Well, I just knew that there was such an elephant in the room that if you weren't on scholarship, then chances are you probably never make it. Well, I knew that if I could work my way through it, I could get on the field and I could earn a spot. So I held true to that. I truly did. I'll wake up at 4:00 in the morning, do laps around the city of Nashville, just to make sure that I was keeping up with you guys. And lo and behold, that paid off. But before that,
dang, I did not, bro. Oh man, before you get to that, bro, I did not know. I think that's actually your first time actually telling me that was the motivating factor for just like I need to, like, the chip on your shoulder mentality. I did not realize that. Okay, okay. Go ahead, bro.
I don't think I ever did tell you guys. Yeah, I had to overcome that, and that was part of how I did it. Was just waking up before you did, etc. Because maybe you were more athletic than me, which you guys were. I mean, you guys were top notch, so I just had to outwork you guys.
And you did, bro. You definitely did.
Barely.
Oh man, that's good.
But then when I first met you, it's funny. I I had a connection with Drew right away just because he looked similar to me.
Right. Okay. Two light-skinned brothers. Yes, correct.
Yeah. But I heard about you even before coming to Vanderbilt because, you had the publicity behind you. You had the social media presence.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, that's Joshua Gray. Oh, cool. Armwood, Florida. Or you had the Florida connection. So I thought I connected with you.
All right.
And then I was like, as for me, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I like this guy. He's kind of arrogant. And then we were meeting with our academic advisors, and I forgot what it was, but you said something to me where I don't know if I came off like really young or what. But he's like, you better grow up now, man. You're in college. You better grow up. I was like, whoa, this person does not know me. I was like, who are you? I was like, oh, but that was good for me because it did break me out of my shell. Yeah. So I'm curious to know what was going on in your mind when you said that. Were you like,
bro, I really have no idea. I wish I could tell you, like, yes, I remember, but I really don't, man. I do know coming into college, I was arrogant. I do know that for sure. And I do remember, I think like coming into school for me was the first time, similar to you, I would imagine, like first time like being out from under my parents' wings. Like you had mentioned with your parents being divorced. I've always been like, is either mom or dad, always speaking for me or taking me somewhere, whatever it could be. And so I think or matter of fact, I know that I had certain things about me that I would say or do that was really like a cover up for like personal insecurities. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's our time in college really, like looking back, bro, I know for myself, so wounded, lost, broken, and just not really knowing like true identity, like you had mentioned until Christ. So if something was going on in my head, I don't really know what it was, bro, to be honest. I do remember though, it would be like in the evenings, you would put on, it was like yellow, I think, like, and it was like a cutoff. It had a hood though, I think, and used to just be gone, bro. And I'm like, what is this man doing? Like, why is like we're about to play the video game and you out there running, and because it's not like we weren't working out, like we were working out very hard, sprints, weights, everything. But then you were doing that, on top. And so I think that's a good story for people to understand, though. Like, that's what it took, for you to eventually go from being a walk-on where like you probably didn't have like the stars or the ratings, but like I would say you had more snaps in college than I did. You know what I'm saying? The reality of it. And I think that is just kind of a testament, to, like you said, the work ethic. So that's good, bro. I did want to know, like, what are your thoughts? You mentioned your dad's injuries. Obviously, you kind of spoke on, your own personal history with concussions. You now have a son, and you've, gone through the path of playing ball as well as seeing the long-term effects with your dad. What are your thoughts on Ezekiel playing football? What are your thoughts on just the safety of football in general? Do you have any regrets of playing? Like, I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts on the health, football, your son, things of that sort?
Yeah, that's an ongoing conversation with Sean. Not that we're butting heads at all. Not at all. I think love the game of football. Love it to death. I think it's amazing. I think it's great for team building, camaraderie. I miss, my teammates to this day. I love the locker room. I love the experiences and the diversity that football brings, especially having such a big team. But at the same time, I know that it's a dangerous sport. So for additional background, both of my brothers did mixed martial arts. My oldest brother is a professional mixed martial artist that is very successful and has a gym with UFC fighters in it. So he's enveloped in a very dangerous sport. But at the same time, you can make the argument that football is even more dangerous. Why is that? Because let's say mixed martial arts, because of how light their gloves are, if they get hit and it's truly a devastating hit, they're knocked out.
Right. It's done.
Whereas boxing and football, it's repeated. It's repeated. It's repeated. It's repeated. It's repeated.
Even when the damage is there.
Even when the damage is there. And you're not knocked out, so you can't withdraw. Right. So that's a huge issue that we have, even with the enhanced, they're constantly enhancing the protective equipment, which is great, but you can only do so much. And what's so difficult is you really can't see the damage to our brain until win, right?
After you did.
Exactly.
Mm.
So like that's the case with my dad. Like, he firmly believes that he has CTE, but
he'll say that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's he's so smart. He went to Dartmouth. He's still very smart. He still has all his mental acumen, but I don't know, like back then they were calling it AstroTurf, which is pretty much you're playing on concrete. So that's part of the issue with, his knee. And you just don't know. Now I would love for, I don't know, flag football or something like that, to grow into the developed sport, but we know what the fans want. Even with flag football, if they come into contact, they run into each other. That's dangerous. But I don't know, man. That's tough.
Does Shaw want Ezekiel to play?
Not really. She doesn't have any problem with I would say where we stand is if he truly has a passion for it, then it'd be difficult to stop him.
Right.
But we're gonna put him in multiple different sports, just to play around with it. I'd love for him to be a baller.
Nice.
Yeah,
Straight
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Or play soccer or something like that. But we'll see. Just get him exposed to a lot of different environments. Whatever he wants to do, I want to support that. I don't want to. His life is his life. It's not mine.
Correct.
So I want to support him. And honestly, the most important is to make sure that he keeps God at the center of it.
Yes, that's good. I'll be honest. I don't want Roman to play football. Okay.
Understood.
Yeah, I don't
Understood.
I do not want Roman to play football. I love the game, love the sport. I was very fortunate. I tell people now, God knew what he was doing by making me throw certain interceptions and getting off of the field. Okay.
Yeah. Well said.
Like, man, like even tearing I tore my ACL, LCL while we were at Vandy. And I would now, I would much prefer that than some to my back, my head, spine, certain things that I see now, man. I'm like, man, it's very dangerous. So I did want to talk to you that you had brought something up. Oh, even with the flag football, I don't mind certain leagues, like how high school has 7-on-7 football. I was telling Drew, who's in Finland, in my opinion, like they're really struggling in Finland, for example, to get people to come out and play football. But I think if he introduced in his own way, perhaps like a 7-on-7, I think that the lack of physicality can be appealing to certain cultures. I know in our culture, we really promote the gladiator type feel. That's why we like coming together. And that's, even the setup is just like the Coliseum where you're looking down, on these people that are in the arena. But so I think that's interesting. I did want to talk, just quick transition. We've talked obviously on Ezekiel, where it's very well known. But Chardane, how did you meet Char? So you left Vandy, you got your degree in econ, played ball, did all those things. Now you are back in Orlando. Correct? Take me through meeting Char. Like, what is that process like? There are plenty of men that listen to my podcast, young males that listen, whether they're single, dating someone. What was that process like? Meeting her? Why her? Like, why do you want to spend the rest of your life with this specific woman? Take me through just that journey with her.
My better half. So I think I'm really glad we're having this conversation, because this was something, especially in college, you're like, oh, we make jokes about who'd be the first person to get married, right? Or it was something that seemed like, I don't know, far off. We wouldn't even think about it. But when it happens, it happens, And I met her. So every year we used to have this family and friends Christmas party from one of my good friends, Frankie. He's at the wedding. And we went to his Christmas party 2016. I think 2016.
That sounds right, I think.
Yeah, it sounds right. And I met her. She just came by chance because she was working. She was a manager at this cookie bakery. And she's an amazing chef. But she wasn't going to come, so this is all gone. But she came, just like, all right, fine, I'll go. Because her best friend at the time was the sister of my best friend. But we never met. Like, we would go to their house at different times. This whole time growing up, I'd never meet her. It's crazy. And it was actually my mom that said, you know what? She had a glass of wine. you should meet my son. He's coming here soon. And then Shar was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. I don't, talk to these boys here at this Christmas party. But then, lo and behold, I showed up.
And she saw you as a rap, huh? That's what it was?
I could feel these eyes just glued on me, Joshua. I was like, oh my gosh. We both have different interpretations of the story.
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say I'm gonna have to make sure I send that
Yeah.
segment right there to Shar.
Yeah, we'll see if that lines up. But I asked her to dance, did a little salsa action, and I asked for a follow-up. I think it was Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas next day, and I sent her like an Instagram message. I was like, "Hey, how you doing? It's great meeting you last night, etc." And we scheduled a date. She almost didn't show up.
I did not know you slid in the DMs, bro.
Safe.
Safe.
Very smooth.
Okay.
Very smooth.
Okay.
She said she was excited to see it though.
I believe
she was glad. Yeah,
yes.
She was glad. And we scheduled a first date, and she almost didn't show up, or she almost left. She showed up. She said she was this close to leaving because she was so nervous. But again, look at God. And we met on the first date, and from then on, it was just blessings, man. But what really changed my life was actually you, because she went to Italy at one point. And in my head, I was still thinking, it's like, well, okay, we've been dating for a long time now, at least for me. And which is like a year. So I was like, all right, that's a long time. And she went to Italy, which is like a month long. It was like, honestly, guys, talking to you and the rest of our
remember these
friends,
conversations. Yes, I forgot.
I was like, if I don't miss her, then I think I gotta end it. Because I mean, that's kind of a testament right there. But I did at the end. And then you brought the questions like, hey, do you love her? I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what are you waiting for? And I was like, it was shocking to me. I was like, because it was uncomfortable. And that's those kind of questions we need as men. We need those uncomfortable questions to put us on the spot and hold us accountable.
Yes.
And I was like, honestly, I don't know. I couldn't come up with enough reasons to make excuses. So I was like, all right, I got to do it. So I ended up getting in the ring. I ended up proposing to her at church after service. I had it in Christmas because she loves Christmas. She'll watch The Grinch in March.
Okay.
That's funny. I had it in a little ornament, and I popped the ornament underneath the tree, and then I ended up doing a proposal after the service, and it was just such blessed occasion. And she's been my love has only grown. A lot of times, this leading up to marriage, like, oh yeah, enjoy it now while you can. Once you're married, there goes your life. That's not the case. It's only gotten better.
That's good, man. I like what you had said though about how we need to have certain questions asked, because that question to me was asked by Jordan Matthews, who I mentioned earlier. J-Matt, because it's just interesting, like the domino effect. Like you said, just how God works. With Jordan, he was really the one that set the tone for me and Lydia with him and Shayna, and getting married with the urgency that they did and intentionality that they did, and seeing the sorts of dialogues and conversations that were being had in their home. And he would ask us, like they would say it right in front of us. I remember we were in a car ride. We were in Boston when he was with the Patriots, and we were going to Rhode Island for a Logic concert. Okay. And little did I know, on this drive to this concert, we were going to be put on the spot. Okay. And they had, I think maybe just had their son Josiah, and they just kept asking us, like, why are y'all waiting? Like, what are you waiting for? And, why aren't y'all getting married? Why are y'all wasting time? And things of that sort. And they really just were very straight up, like you said, just put it in a light. I think that even on your second point, with how a lot of people can say so many negative things to someone that's getting prepared to be married or that's in a relationship. And I think that really installs fear in, individuals, fear of commitment, fear that, marrying someone, it's going to be your husband or your wife, marrying someone is going to like some way hinder your life. What was that like? What were you hearing from whether stuff on the internet, stuff from your background, like being a kid, a child? Like, did you have anything or anyone saying negative things to you pre-marriage? And what would you say to someone that is hearing that right now?
It's really good. So I grew up in a loving home, but it was a divorce home. There's no doubt that my father loved me, no doubt that my mom loved me. But at the same time, I grew up having that background where my parents were together, right? So that from its very beginning, and this is so true for many kids growing up, they're in divorced households, you start seeing more and more that they don't understand what it looks like to have a loving mother and father figure. So like that was the same. What does the interaction look like? And then two, you know, I would hear it from day to day. Julian, I love you, man. It's my brother, but you know, he just consistently says narratives. And it's just the way he is about, you know, well, hey, you know, your life's over, et cetera. You know,
He's not
about
the
many
only
different
one that
areas.
says that.
Yeah, yeah. And then, you know, the unfortunate thing about it too is sometimes you'd even hear at the church is, you know, just joking around, right? Or hopefully,
Right.
but you'd even hear that, and it's like, haha, yeah, but it's like, all right, well, like, why even say that? So it's just so common, and it's almost like it's just like a conversational piece, like you feel the peer pressure to join in. I think there's like a peer pressure amongst men in society that, oh, okay, like you have to joke around about it, but no, like, tell the truth. And if there's something wrong in your marriage, then speak to that. Maybe I can help as a brother. But we shouldn't be lying or joking around that, you know, marriage sucks. This is it's one of the most beautiful relationships that God ordained for us. So we don't joke about having our relationship being in, you know, disarray or anything like that. If there's issues, then we're intentional about solving it.
Simple.
Yeah.
Why do you think that, like, it's promoted so much more that marriage is a negative thing than a positive? Like, why is that? Or even for marriages, like, why do some marriages like struggle? You know what? I guess let me shape it for simpler. One, why do you think so many marriages struggle? First question. Second question, what is it about your marriage that is different, that it is good?
Both questions are going to be answered the same. So Christ at the center. And you know, you could say that's some kind of cliche answer, but that's the truth. It really is. Every time that we have an issue, we get in a fight, I know that she's still a child of God. So am I. She can't fulfill all my needs. That would be unfair to her, and vice versa. So we go back on, hey, listen, you know, maybe we call it the week we had recently, and we were just like agitating each other every day. It's funny because we were like texting each other and they like, hey, yeah, I miss you. Can't wait to come home, play with Ezekiel. And as soon as I come home, we piss each other off.
That's funny, bro.
But it was such a blessing just for us to be able to get through that. And every time something pops up, you know, I'm for her. We're a team. And I don't want her to be mad. You know, it's going to compound right back on me and going to compound on Ezekiel and vice versa. Yeah. So it's a team. And so that's the key piece. And I mentioned earlier that, you know, there's a peer pressure. Well, I think the reason that it's joked around a lot is because unfortunately that is the case, that people are having a lot of difficulty in their marriage. So they joke around with, oh yeah, your life's over. So it's like kind of like a relatability piece. Like, oh yeah, you're struggling too. Haha, yeah, same. Right. So that's an unfortunate piece about it.
Misery loves company. And I think that's interesting. You said some good things there. I really like, I mean, the basis is having the Lord at the center, at the root. It's so interesting that you say that, man. On our anniversary, I put up a post and I went to this really nice restaurant. I set up the scene, everything was great, you know, great food, things of that nature. And I said a joke, man, and she did not like the joke, bro. She did not like the joke. And but since then, like, we were able to later that night, like, have a discussion and have a dialogue. And the reality for me, bro, is just the realization that, like, marriage is work, man. Like, marriage is work. And there's a book, Maximize Manhood, that really painted a scene for me. Like, shout out Jeff, if you listen to this, Jeff Blanton. Jeff was an older man, been married, I think now 10 years, 11 years, I would say, maybe even longer, could be. But basically he was saying how in marriage, like a lot of us, we think that marriage should be 50-50. You know,
Yeah.
you put in yours, I'm gonna put in mine, and we're good. But what he developed, which was very new to me, you know, my parents married, grew up in a home, they're together, but there are certain things that my dad just did not teach me about being a husband, nor that I saw in particular. And one thing Jeff had said was, you know, instead of it being 50-50, it should be for you as a husband, your mindset should be 100-0. I'm going to put in 100 of mine, and I'm not going to
That's
expect
good.
anything from my wife. And
Yeah.
it gets rid of the expectation. I think, like you said, I really like how you said a lot of us, and I still do this, but we think that our spouses somehow supposed to fill our needs, and that can't happen. You know, we're humans. You know what I'm saying? Like only the spirit can feel. And even this dude has said something I really like, bro. I don't know if I told you this, but he was basically saying how the best marriage advice that he got was that the reality is that he married a sinner
Mm-hmm.
and his wife married a bigger one. And that,
Really good.
bro, that, I mean, it's just humbling because the reality is anytime that I want to be upset with my wife or that I want to try to make an excuse for my behavior or whatever it could be, you know, the Lord is going to humble you as a husband. And again, going to the book, the last thing I'll say in Maximize Manhood, 100% would recommend it. Anyone listening, if you want to be a good husband, like 100% will read it. And he was just kind of saying how like a lot of men were cowards. You know, a lot of men are cowards. You know, he was saying, all right, this is also our marriage counselor. He's like, you know, when Eve sinned, where was Adam? You know, where was he? He wasn't where he was supposed to be, you know. And so just that realization, men, we got to take more of the responsibility in our marriages. Stop blaming our wives for why we are doing
Yeah.
certain things that we know we should not be doing. I think that's the main thing, bro. Because again, going back to sin, bro, first thing Adam did is the woman,
Yep.
you know. So
From the very beginning, we have not changed.
from the very beginning, bro, man want to blame the woman. Biblical, okay, it's the truth. And we see it come to life in marriages day in, day out. I
Yeah.
do have a question. Shar herself, you know, because going back to college, you yourself, you were never someone that was just going to be like talking to a random woman. You know, you weren't someone that was going to waste time with a woman.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that like you made it clear. Like if you were going to be dating or
Yes.
a woman was going to be like on the phone with you or something, like she meant something. She was going to mean something. Like you were just, that wasn't you.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
were very particular. And then to the point where obviously you choose one person, one woman that's like, I'm devoting my life to you. What is it about Shar that like, because obviously you love marriage, you know, you love your wife, you love the family that y'all put together, that you know you've been blessed with. What is it about Shar that got you like,
Yeah.
she's like, this is a wrap?
I pray she listens to this.
Hey, easy opportunity. Anytime you're on a podcast, easy opportunity to boost the wife up. Okay.
Love it. No,
Yeah.
this is
And
exceptional.
I'm gonna serve it
great.
up for you, bro. So yeah, here you go. Here's the alley.
Love it. All right, let's see if I nail it. So very easy. So my number one love language is acts of service. She's an amazing, amazing chef, an amazing mother. Now, this is before she became a mother, but even still, she just understood my needs. Now, she can't fulfill all of it, but she was always so intentional about serving me. And I just saw how she wanted to grow in her faith. And that was really the big one, because I knew if I wanted to propose to her, we'd have to be equally yoked. And I saw, Joshua, just how she was in the word, how she was starting to, the spirit was working on her. I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, you're not going to find that everywhere. You're not going to find that downtown. I mean, maybe you do, but the chances are low. You know, just the fact how she was intentional about health, exercise. I mean, we were just on the same page, aligned. She's beautiful, has an amazing smile. And I was just like her smile to this day when I see it. And Zeke has a great smile too. He gets his smile from her. I just, you know, it overrides my feelings. Like whatever I'm going through, maybe I have a lot going on in my head. Maybe I'm trying to do too much. Maybe my brain is being pulled in too many directions. I see that smile, reset. And
Love it.
It was just different. I've never had that before.
Yes, that's pretty cool, man. What would be one tip that you would give to a husband? You've been 2 years, y'all are 2 years in. what would be one tip that you would give to a husband at 2 years in?
Mm-hmm.
You're raising a child now, so you're not just a husband, you're also a dad. We'll talk about fatherhood in a second, but as
Yep.
a husband, what would be one tip that you would give?
Learn, if not already, learn your wife's love languages. 100%. Hers are words of affirmation and also touch. I consistently fail at that, but it's very clear when I fail at that.
Mm,
It's insane, Joshua. Like if I don't rub her back or something like that for an extended period of time, this is a knock on her. This is a knock on me. I can see like some tension built up, right? It's just God designed us and wired us each individually unique ways, and that's so important just to be intentional about what you can control, which is serving your partner's love languages.
mm. That's good, man. That's so real, bro. Because that's something that is an ongoing task as a husband. Same thing with my wife. Words of affirmation, really number one. Time as well. Um,
For
it's
Lynn,
not, yeah, it's not easy,
yeah,
man. It's not easy. Okay. So here's a backup question to that. Ezekiel,
okay.
what is fatherhood like? Did you grow up wanting to, raise a family? Was that always a desire of yours?
Yeah. I was always pretty, I think, pretty good with kids, and they seemed to like me. And I had my niece Jai when I was pretty young. So I mean, when I was like 10 or 12 years old, like she was starting to come up in the house, and she was so cute.
Mm,
And I was like, that's pretty awesome. I was still shy, but I was like, that's pretty awesome. So I always did want a family. I grew up with two brothers. Even though they're 10 years older than me, I still had brothers.
right.
So like I wanted a family. But honestly, it's another conversation. But our timeline though, after we got married on when to have kids, we butted heads on.
I was gonna add, that was gonna be the question I was gonna ask, because
Yeah.
y'all, for most people, they would say you had kids like early. So you have, Zeke was born. What, maybe y'all had been together a year and a half around, I would say, when he was born.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What did y'all butt heads on? What was your, I guess, where was your stance? Where was hers? Where were those thoughts?
Yeah. So after we got married, I had in my head at least a year before we like start to be really intentional about that. And then, but I don't know how this happened, but there was a discrepancy where she was of the mind where it'd be right away. And I noticed like if there's a repeated argument that anyone's having in their relationship, that's something then they should probably address. Like if it's the consistent, just hey, like why does this keep popping up? Then that needs to be really honed down. Well, we were having that. And I knew that, well, hey, I felt very strongly about it. Um, I was praying about it. I was like, Lord, if you really want me to move my stance, like please instill that on me. And I ended up compromising and meeting her halfway. So we did February, so rather than a full year, so we kind of did 6 months instead of a full year. And I just noticed like she was really like it was really eating at her. I was like, this isn't good. Like this isn't good for our marriage. This is not how we want to start off our marriage. And her concern was her age. She's still young, but she's 30. And she wanted to make sure that if we were going to build our family, then we'd start to be intentional about that now. So I want to respect that and make sure that she's heard. That's a big thing for a lot of people that get in relationships. Make sure your spouse is heard.
That's good,
Ignoring
man.
is never good. So that's where I met her at, and it's been such a blessing. Thankfully, the Lord blessed us, and it was right away.
Right.
Um,
Big
so
blessing.
yeah,
Big
amazing
blessing.
blessing.
Yes. That's so interesting, that you had talked about like wanting your wife to feel like she's been heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because y'all are not the only couple that have butt heads on
Mm-hmm.
timing and the
Mm-hmm.
desire for children. That, for me, from what I've seen, is a very common dialogue
Mm-hmm.
where one spouse is like head, like it's time now, like I'm ready to go, and then the other is like, let's wait. How how does it, like, if there is a married couple or a soon to be married couple listening to this or watching this, and like that's where they are, where maybe
Yeah.
what can happen, not always, is the wife is eager for a child, and then the husband's skirt, Like, not right now. What would you say to the
Yes.
couple that is going through that? Like, how do you get to a point of, coming together? Because it can cause a lot of rift in marriage. Because
Mm-hmm.
that, a child, like, that's deep, that's valuable. That is,
Yeah.
for a lot of people, they look at it as his legacy. I mean, you read the Bible and women are fighting over children. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? What, like, would you say to a couple that right now they are just not seeing eye to eye on when to come together for a child?
Yeah. It's it's a heavy one too, especially if you're not aligned, especially if you're opposite ends of the page, because that's kind of where we were, and that's why if we were so strong on where we were, that creates the tension even more. And my advice would be, well, hey, really talk it through, have those conversations, and lay out the positives and negatives for each person's stance. A big negative is that I so often hear, and that I thought about too briefly, was finances. Right? Do we have the finances that are going to be able to take care of this child? Like, are we going to be okay? Right? Am I going to be able to provide enough for this child? Which is valid. The heart is in a good spot where, okay, you want to make sure that they're well taken care of. But the heart is also like, okay, well, I kind of want to hold on. Right? That's really where it's control. And it's another deep idol. So really sort through that. Well, hey, if you see so many, unfortunately, impoverished families that are bringing up children in these multiple children households, even though it's not ideal, if they're doing it, chances are most of us, you can bring up a child, you can make it work, right? So that's not the best excuse. So lay out the positives and negatives, each side, and have those conversations. And if you're really on opposite ends, see if there's any kind of compromise, whether it's a timeline or how you want to do it, and then sort that out. But you want to make sure again that your significant other is heard.
I like it. That's good.
Yeah,
Making sure your spouse is heard, I think, is big because
it's
there
huge.
is, yeah, far too many where, and I've been there, where if I don't feel hurt or if I do something to where Lydia does not feel hurt, complete shutdown. That's good. I did want to ask just a few more questions, bro. One, you speak on the finances and how, in regards to a child, that can be a topic of discussion. Well, for
Yep.
me, I agree. I think a lot of people let that be an excuse when you really
Mm-hmm.
could afford it, especially if your wife is willing to breastfeed because you're not
Mm-hmm.
buying certain things, you have a baby shower, maybe some people show you love, things of that sort. So there is that. But I did want to just kind of bring up on the financial side.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think it would make sense for us to have a full episode where we can dive,
Mm-hmm.
deeper into the finances, all of that and more on your journey, get more very
Yeah.
practical. I would like to be at
Mm-hmm.
some point, but I do want to be able to utilize a snippet for Stock Tip Tuesday at some point. So with that said, Kellen, for Stock Tip Tuesday, as someone as you've been in the financial field, how long?
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
Okay. Since we graduated from Vandy, or the year after graduating from Vandy.
Year after.
Year after
Yep.
graduating from Vandy. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
for today's Stock Tip Tuesday, as someone who has been working in the financial sector for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
degree in economics, some sort of financial background. Some people would say you're a bit of a guru in a sense. And
Oh my, it's a really
by
strong statement.
or by some people, I know I would say that, and I think some of your friends would as well.
Uh-huh.
With that said, what would be one tip to where no matter where someone is financially, whether they're loaded or they ain't got no money, what's one tip more than anything else that you would give to someone, to
Hmm.
myself, to my friends, family, your friends, family, whoever? What would be one thing, one universal tip for Stock Tip Tuesday for whenever the snippet comes out?
Yeah, no, that's a loaded. There's so many directions I want to
I
go,
know it.
but I think everyone's situation is different, right? So I have to be careful when giving advice because everyone has a unique, personalized situation. But regardless, what anyone can do, and this is another common excuse, is, oh, I just don't have the money to invest, right? We hear it all the time. Don't ever use that as an excuse. You can always start somewhere and start now because the power of compounding returns is so powerful, especially with all the talks about inflation, right? Well, how do you keep up with inflation? You have to invest so that your money doesn't lose its purchasing power.
Simple.
Because if it just sits in the bank, right? People don't realize it's actually losing value. And I can expand on that in another episode.
That's good. No, that's really good. I think that's a very good breakdown. That's the number one thing. And we are gonna have to talk on that because there's so much we could discuss. I think it would be good too, honestly, bro. At some point, even doing maybe a series,
Sure.
summer series, something series where we talk on the
Yeah.
finances, just because I think it would be good. I think that is something that people they need more access to it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to the age now, being 28, where I'm seeing in my friends, peers, where not having the right financial decisions, they don't necessarily always affect you in the moment, but 3 years later, 7 years later, it always you always gonna reap what you sow. Okay. And so
Yeah.
when it comes to finances, we just gotta make sure we're being good stewards.
Well
Um,
said.
so that is something. But however, one thing that I did not want to gloss over, maybe just 2, 3 more questions for you. You continue to reference God, Christ, Savior, salvation, whatever,
Yep.
insert biblical term. Okay, but the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yep.
What does God mean to you? Who is Christ to you? How did you meet him? What is your relationship like with him? Like, just take me just real quick through the introduction to Christ, the relationship developing, and where you are now.
That's my truth. That's my truth. That's the truth. And what I mean by that is so common now. You always hear, "I'm just trying to live my own truth. I'm just trying to live my own truth." What happens when your truth conflicts with my truth? What happens? Who's right?
Yeah, who is right?
So we need the one constant, the one true truth to hold us all together. And man, I grew up, I got baptized when I was little. I had no idea what's going on, right? I'm thankful for the exposure I got when I was little. I went up to church when used to visit my grandma, but I didn't grow up in a home that went to church every Sunday. Right? I kind of just, I was aware, but I was like, all right, well, I can do that at a later point in my life. I'm just gonna keep doing my own thing now, especially being an athlete. In Vanderbilt, like we would have FCA. So grateful for Brother B for doing his best to sow those seeds, and he sowed those seeds.
Yeah, he did.
But they just took a little bit, to harvest and prosper. But it was, I just time and time again, I fell into peer pressure, like with worldly feelings, worldly desires, and I didn't know at the time that it was such a better picture coming to know Christ. I'm thankful that I was able to experience all that so I can know how much more joy I have now.
Yes.
And I would say that to anyone, don't let the feeling that you have thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm giving something up. No, you're going to obtain so much more. And truly, it is the truth, because you just look like you referenced earlier. We're still acting the same that Adam was with our wives. You can look time and time again. There is evidence that the Bible is truth. And that's a whole other conversation itself. But after doing all my research and after having those conversations, the fellowship, it was a no-brainer. And it's been such a pivotal change. In fact, the biggest change, my very purpose on why I go to work every single day, how I want to be in my marriage, how I want Ezekiel to grow up, how I interact with people. Every time I'm even emailing, in my emails, Joshua, I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing appropriate to glorify the Lord.
Love it, bro. That's good, man. That is good, bro. It got to be the foundation, because if not, everything is just going to crumble, bro. That's the reality. That is the reality. That's something I realized in business, in marriage, fatherhood, any personal ventures, whatever it could be. If he's not at the center, man, it might not be today, might not be tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to work out in the end. One or few, or before we I just have the last question. I think this is the last question I have. So before we get to the last question, I will have a next to last. Where can people connect with you? Where can they follow you? Because this is like, we could talk all day. This is, we chop it up. We could do all this. I think it would be good in the future to have specific episodes. Like, I want to get you on again, bro, where we can have just a marriage episode. just a
Love it.
fatherhood episode, just a financials, just go through the scripture, whatever it could be to, really discuss. But where can people connect with you? Where can they follow you?
Yeah.
Where can they learn more? I know you talked about being in finances, the name of your company, and whatever you got on your end.
Yeah. So for a really brief background, I'm a certified financial planner and wealth advisor for Financial Harvest Wealth Advisors here in Winter Park, Florida. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Kellen H. Williams. And we actually have some retirement courses coming up. So one's actually geared for young adults. So those in high school, which I wish I had, and those earlier in college, and just starting out the career too. The one for just starting out the career is pretty unique because we're going to talk about, well, hey, what are the fundamentals for building your wealth? That'd be a nice transition to get people going off in the career, make sure that they're financially literate. And also for those in their earning years, like those starting out in the career and also working, maybe 35 plus. Like we have different retirement courses. You can visit nested.com or our website, financialharvest.com, in order to find out more. But we have multiple different avenues, and you can just follow me on LinkedIn if you want.
Solid. Financial Harvest. Check them out. Char, I know she is baking and cooking, correct or no?
She's all-purpose chef.
All purpose. Anyone in Orlando, where is she? Like, if someone's in Orlando, how do they promote her? Like, how do they purchase from her? Where can they get in contact with her business? She's a vegan chef. Like, how a vegan chef, she's been vegan for your whole relationship, I would imagine, right?
She actually started off as vegetarian.
Okay.
And then it's after the documentary.
It's always after a documentary. That's how it was
Yeah, but I mean, she's such a great chef that it was easy for me to make the transition. So her business name is called Beat, Pray, Love. It's a takeoff the movie.
Oh, that's her business name?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, you're exactly right.
Beat, Pray, Love, and beet as in the vegetable.
Yeah.
BEET. Okay, Beat, Pray, Love.
Yeah, she's creative.
I like that.
So she has a website, beatpraylove.com, and she does personalized meal service. She also does sauces, so she makes her own sauces from scratch. People really like that.
Is she ship? Does she ship yet? It's because I know that's something I've asked y'all before now.
You have asked that before. So that ships easier than like baked items. So I'm sure she's open to that.
Bro, come on now. Okay. Yeah. If Beat, Pray, Love is trying to get into the hands of some NIL athletes, trying to get, come on. We can definitely, I would love to check out one of her sauces though, man. Like on the real. Like I've obviously eaten, her cooking is amazing. I think what's today? Today is Monday. We're recording this, so this is not gonna come out today, but today is Monday, July 12th, 2021. Okay, July 12th, 2031. We will look back at this episode and Beat, Pray, Love International. International.
I love it. Let's go. Let's get it.
I'm telling you,
she can do it. She really could. She's talented. She's very blessed.
Bro, like legit, like she got like those are God-given skills. You know, no questions asked. Last question I have for you, Kellen. You got a lot going on, man. Amazing wife, family. Really have a job that is purposeful for you. I know even with the guys or the team at Financial Harvest, like this has been a place that you've really grown in. With that said, with someone having so much good, going on, the Lord, and you just got a lot, a lot of blessings around. What is the one thing that you are most grateful for today?
I love that. I love how you end like that. I'm of course grateful for Shar and Ezekiel every single day. But I've been praying this more recently. I'm just grateful to know the Lord. And because that's the foundation for just so many different areas of my life and how I operate on a day-to-day. And I'm just continuously just praying because that just, it fills up joy in my heart. I couldn't imagine without it. So that's the one true thing I'm grateful for because it leads into so many different other areas.
So I love it, man. Oh, this is good, bro. Well, that's all I got for you today, but we will definitely get you back, man.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, man.
Ain't no problem, bro. This is Kellen Williams, my dog here. If y'all are listening to this, if you've enjoyed, this dialogue, subscribe on the YouTube, audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the things. This is Agent Talk Podcast with Joshua Grady. Kellen, I appreciate your time, man. I really think that, the dialogue had today will help someone, whether it's talking to a husband, talking to a dad, a businessman, someone that just wants to get their finances right. I think there's a lot of value to be had. So y'all stay tuned for more episodes to come. Agent Talk, Joshua Grady here with my guy, Kellen Williams. We out. Peace out.